is Dominic, wedding DJ.
And this is Serena, wedding planner.
And together we are the
Wedding Duo.
We are here to talk all things weddings.
Planning a wedding can be stressful, but we are here to help.
So before you say, that's it, we're going to Vegas, don't go to Vegas.
Let's have some fun.
Join us as we answer your wedding questions and help navigate planning one of the biggest days of your life with
The Wedding Duo.
Hello, everyone out there in listening land. We are back with another fantastic podcast for the Wedding Duo Plus One.
We have a guest today, and we're super excited.
This is a topic we have not reached yet.
It is a topic we haven't even gotten into, like, even a little bit. A lot of times our topics kind of overlap, but this one I can honestly say our expert on today. We have never gone down this path before.
And it's something most couples plan at some point once they're engaged. Maybe it's more fun planning this part than it is the actual wedding.
Actual wedding.
Today we're talking about the bachelorette parties.
Well, and all the maybe like festivities that you might do around the wedding, right? Like we're going to talk about any type of event surrounding the wedding except the wedding.
Except the wedding.
And who is going to help us talk about that today? Our friend Abbey. Abbey, please introduce yourself.
Hello, Abbey.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Abbey Clinton St. Pierre, and I am the owner of Got Your Bash. We are a full-service bachelorette planning company, and like they said, we also help plan those festivities that are around the bachelorette. So think your bridal showers, welcome party, rehearsal dinners, anything like that. And so thank you so much for having me, and excited to dive right in.
Absolutely. Well, let's just before we get into like the stuff that's valuable to our listeners, you just got married yourself, right?
I did.
Yes. And how was that experience? Just give us just a little, like the good, the bad, the ugly.
For those of the people out there that are like in the throes of the planning process of their own wedding.
Absolutely. I think for me, I knew going into it, I wanted to be a very chill bride because I have obviously worked with those not so chill. And so I didn't want any of my vendors or honestly, like bridesmaids, wedding party, family members to feel the stress that I was feeling. So I internalized a lot of that. And I think that that is something that a lot of couples do. And they try to take it on themselves. But there is a lot of people out there that will help you. Make sure that you talk to your people and
Yes.
tell them how you're feeling. It was the greatest experience of my life. I will never do it again. It was so incredible. It was the most amazing weekend of our life. And I'm so just like filled with love and joy to be finally married to my best friend, Katie. And she's incredible. And we are so excited to just go on this journey together.
Yeah.
So as the Clinton St. Pierre, did you hyphenate? Which one was yours originally? And how did you do that?
Yes. So mine is Clinton and hers is St. Pierre. And we are hyphenating.
I love it. It like flows really well.
It does.
Like, yeah.
St. Pierre. I have a bunch of cousins with a St. Pierre. A
Well,
big my family.
yeah. I
Nice.
felt like it was very sexy.
It is. It is.
Nice.
That's kind of what I thought too. It's very like,
Well,
ooh.
it comes up. We just did a video on how do you want, when I was talking about when I announced the couples into the room, some people are like Mr. Mrs. last name, if they're just taking the name, or if you're not, I just do first names. Same sex couples are often like a child. How do we do that if we're not connecting names or whatever? And then is there a doctor or how do you,
Yeah. We
but,
just talked all about that.
yeah,
so.
it's a whole thing that couples are like, wait, how are we being announced? How are we doing this? So,
Absolutely.
but thank you
I
for
know.
sharing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into, your expertise, right? So how did you get started, first of all, like in this business, and how's it been going so far?
Yeah. So I started Got Your Bash about 6 years ago. I was a wedding photographer full time before I started Got Your Bash. And I knew that I wanted to be in the event planning world right out of college. I went into the corporate world, realized very quickly that that was not for me. And so I went full time photography after some time of that, I realized that I really missed the planning aspect and I
Mm,
wanted to see these events come to fruition from the moment of, the idea of an event, but quickly realized that I could not do weddings and I did not want to do weddings. So I was
mhm.
like, what else can we plan that are sometimes not the easiest thing to plan? And that was where I came up with bachelorette planning. So when we started the business about 6 years ago, we just solely did bachelorettes, and that's what we focused on for about 4 years. So we do everything from helping with their dates, their location, how many guests should they have, what does their budget look like, and then everything for the weekend, helping with their lodging, all of their activities, dining reservations, and then all of their payments we actually help with as well. So
Wow.
the bride or the maid of honor or whoever is planning doesn't have to track down 16 different girls while she's trying to do a lot of other things. And so we will actually handle that as well. We pay all the vendors on their behalf. So everything is done and ready to go by
Mm.
the time that they get there so they can just enjoy. And we really try to take that stress off of them so that they can have a great weekend.
I mean, that's amazing. And do you find too, I've gone through obviously like my full service clients, I'm sometimes their planner during the time when they're planning the bachelorette, and it could be
Mhm.
stressful on your friend group, right? So to take
Right.
that stress off of the group of girls so that they can actually enjoy the weekend, right? Do you find that that's a lot of the feedback you get?
Absolutely. I mean, we have so many repeat clients just because they have been on a bachelorette that we have planned and they're like, this is amazing just because they get to enjoy it. They don't have to
Mhm.
worry about the Venmo that's coming at the end of the weekend and what did they spend because they have no idea. Everyone was just signing checks left and right. Or how are we going to get to this dinner? Is there enough time for a nap? Things like that are
Yeah.
very important. And just knowing that you have a set schedule or knowing someone that is familiar with the area that you're going because, you could have
Yes.
12 girls that have never been to this place and it could say, for example, I'm from Los Angeles. It could say that it's 5 miles away. It's going to take you 45 minutes to get there. And
There
so
you
you
go.
don't
Yeah.
know unless you have experienced it or have been there personally. So I think that having a company that is handling something like this is really great for everyone involved.
Yeah. And for the future of their friendships.
You said Los Angeles. I thought it was just Nashville. Doesn't everything just take place in Nashville? People get bachelorette parties other than Nashville? That's exciting.
Yes, we plan all over the world really now, which is great. But we have seen this trend of wanting to go to different spots. They're wanting to do something that's a little bit different than what you might have seen. We don't really get a lot of people in, that Las Vegas or Nashville. We see a lot of different
Mm.
places, which is so much honestly more fun because they get to do things that like not everybody else is doing, or they get to try different things and everyone in the group gets a different experience.
I think that's fantastic because there's this association with like, oh, it's just a drunken debauchery weekend, right? Whereas if you're wine drinkers and you want to go to Napa or you want to go see a show, like go somewhere, go to Chicago and see like
Mhm.
if that's like your thing, like you don't have it doesn't have to be like, oh, I still have this scar from the last one. I'm not going to Jessica's because Beth, I got practically concussed, and I'm like, no, 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 don't. It doesn't have to be that kind of a weekend, right?
Absolutely not.
I think that's so true. And, you said Napa, and that's actually where I went for mine. We
Really?
had 12 girls, and it was just so much fun. And something that I take away, I have said to everyone, it felt like the most wholesome weekend. It didn't feel like
Mhm.
I have been on those ones that it's like we went to Nashville and we were drunk for 72 hours straight. And I don't remember
Yes.
anything. I don't remember those conversations. But for us, it's like we did the wineries one day, and then we came back and had a great pizza party at the house and just sat around the table
Wow.
and laughed and got to share, so many different stories. And I had so many girls on mine from different walks of life. And, to bring all of my favorite people together in one spot, it was something that I wanted to remember.
Love that so much, and I want our listeners to absorb that a little bit, like, that is more should be kinda more of the focus, like, your friendships, getting people from different parts of your life to know each other before the wedding so that you guys can make new relationships and have those memories.
Well, it's also nice too that because the wedding is it's like once you hit that makeup chair, it's like fast, right? And it's like you don't really get a
Mhm.
chance just to sit and laugh and eat pizza with your friend group, right? Not like it's like, but you want to celebrate the whole thing and get together beforehand. So it's nice. It's a very different vibe than it is
The
when
wedding.
the actual day hits, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for us is we did 3 days in Mexico, and it was absolutely insane, and I do feel like I had to be like, they're like, "Tequila shots, because this is what we do in Mexico," and I'm like, "I wanna remember this entire weekend.
Yes,
You
you're right.
guys might not,
Yeah.
but I
Good
want
call.
to." And so, yeah, I just love that bachelorettes are definitely becoming more of a I guess, like I said, a wholesome weekend with your friends, and you don't have to go out and do these crazy things. And yes, I mean,
Yeah.
Instagram is great, and what you see on social media is great, and they're just going out and doing all these things. But for mine, it was the time that we spent at home or in the party bus on the
Mm.
way to the winery, just laughing, having a good time, sharing stories, and just being with my girlfriends. That was what made so much more like sense for me.
Yeah, and I think that that will resonate with a lot of people because there is sort of this stigma, right, of what needs to happen, what should be done, and maybe, you don't feel comfortable with that, and that's okay. You can plan something that's totally you. So along those lines, what are you seeing as far as trends? And when I say trends, I mean location and like the themes, right?
So for location, our top places are, I would say, anywhere on the East Coast of Florida is super popular right now. So think Miami, Fort
Okay.
Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. Those are all super popular for us right now. Austin is always just a good, like,
Hmm.
safe spot, especially when you have friends coming from so many different locations, especially East Coast,
Yeah.
West Coast. It's such a great location. That's why personally we love Dallas so much just because it's such a big hub and it's easy for everyone to get to. Another location
Yep.
that we've seen a lot is the Hamptons, but with the
Mm.
Hamptons, they close down for so much of the year because they have like a certain
Oh,
season. And so it's really between Memorial Day and Labor Day. That's when you want to hit it. And it is definitely
oh
one of
wow.
those more expensive places. Mexico is always a great choice as well. Cabo side or Tulum has become super popular as well. And then Palm Springs and Scottsdale, I feel like are always just really good spots,
Yeah.
especially in, early fall, spring. Try to stay away those summer months because that limits a lot of things that you can do. And then as far as themes, we as a company try to personalize the bachelorette because I want our clients to feel like they are something special. And I just don't want them to go with that last rodeo, last disco, fling before the ring, or
Sure.
anything like that. So we really try to take into consideration their location, their name, their future spouse's name, and really make something that is customized to them. And so we're really, really big on customization. We do all of our own graphic design in house. So we can do anything from custom sweatshirts, custom logos, anything like that, just because I think that they deserve something special. And if they want something that they see on Pinterest, why don't we do a spin-off and make it personalized to you?
Did you say fling before the ring?
Yes.
I've
Which
never heard that.
I
I thought for a second, I go, "Wait, did she say swing?" I thought she said fling because swing before the ring is a whole different thing. We're
yeah, we
not
don't
trying to
wanna
get
get
on
into
that topic for
that.
this.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have your like, I think for, Palm Springs before the rain, or I can't
Yeah.
even think of all of
Right.
them because I don't necessarily love them. Or, like Nash Bash.
Yeah,
It
I've seen that.
honestly makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
No, that makes sense.
just what you were saying about just for somebody just to go to you and say, "What this is our window," and you can say like, "Oh, well, you don't wanna go here, you don't wanna go this would be good for that." That's, like, so valuable. Just
Mhm.
that alone, just when you started talking, I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know in the Hamptons." I did think I saw dollar signs when you said Hamptons, so but to your point, it could be like, "Wait, okay, this time of year, maybe not good, and what's your budget?" All these things. Like, you don't wanna
Factors.
be able, "Well, we can't afford to get married now because we blew the budget, so the budget went out of control on the bachelorette party."
Right, and it makes sense too, your reference to personalizing the event, just because we talk about the wedding being a reflection of your relationship and you as a couple, so why shouldn't the bachelorette or the festivities beforehand also represent, maybe you and your girls or you personally? So that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my bachelorette theme was St. Pierre soiree. So that was really fun. And for that, I am a very colorful girl. I love all colors. And so there was no like color associated with that. And so we were able to do really whatever we wanted. Or our bridal shower, as a lesbian couple, the On Cloud Nine is super popular among all brides right now, and so we did On Cloud Wives. And so, you can take those themes that are super popular, but make them personalized to you.
You didn't wanna go more with, like, Clinton chaos? Wasn't that not more something along those?
It would have been
Uh,
very accurate.
No, she's like, "No."
wait a minute, so that's not fair, though. Yeah, so you married a woman, she went on the bachelorette party, didn't she? That's kind of a cool thing, you both brought your friend groups and got to probably know each other,
Or did they?
or did you? Or was it just you?
No, so we actually
Nope,
did
separate.
separate bachelorette. We have a very large friend group. So, like I mentioned, I believe there was 12 of us on mine and there was 10 on hers. So, we did them separately, separate weekends. We needed to make sure someone was home to watch the dogs. So, we did separate weekends, which was really fun.
Okay.
And, they are our crowds are very different. I could not imagine my wife's group of friends going and sitting with a glass of wine and just talking for hours. And so they went to Hot Springs, Arkansas, did some brewery tours, went on the boat, grilled out. And so that was definitely much more their scene than the wine and yapping.
Yeah.
See? There's rules. I'm glad to see that you followed the rules for the other couples as well. That's right. We gotta
Goodness.
stay in your lane.
Yeah. So, do you see a lot of, like, bridal showers? And tell us the difference between, like, a bridal shower and a bachelorette party, just, like, bare bones.
Yeah, so I think something that is becoming a little bit more popular is the bachelorettes. A lot of brides are actually now planning them. I think because, they want to have a say. They want to be able to be like, look, this is, my party. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And I don't really want a ton of opinions, so I'm gonna plan it, and so I think that that's something that's obviously the biggest
Yep.
thing, as well as bachelorettes now are definitely turning more into a weekend affair. I feel like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I'm not really sure on a timeline, but they used to be one night, and, like, a bridal shower, mostly
Right.
they are 2 or 3 hours, and they are hosted by someone else and they, kind of welcome you into either their family or something like that, and they're hosting you. So I feel like that is something that is the biggest differences as well as the guest list. I I mean, for us, we had 60 people at our
Yes.
bridal shower, and I'm definitely not inviting 60 people on my bachelorette. As much as my mom would have loved to be on my
Yeah,
bachelorette.
no.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
We see so whenever we travel for events, and if I see a pack of ladies that are at that age, I'm always like, "Bachelorette party. Let me go to," because we flew through Nashville recently, and it
Okay.
was an early morning flight, and I go, "Oh, those group of 6 are no way they're not on a bachelorette party." So I went over and I said, "It's gotta be bachelorette party, right?" Because 'Cause I'm not shy, and I was trying to make a TikTok anyway. But, they were going to Austin. I go, "Oh, here we go." I thought for sure. But the other one we saw, they all had matching pink sweatsuits on, It was so obvious, but moms went on that one. The
The
moms went with
moms
him,
were there.
but the bride didn't know. They went to Big Bear, but the
It was a
bride didn't know.
surprise.
Yeah, it
Have
was
you
a
ever
surprise.
done that? A surprise bachelorette?
I don't know on my end how much is a surprise sometimes. If for a maid of honor or we have had moms help plan,
Sure.
if it is like a client that's not the bride, I don't ever really know unless they specify how much is a surprise. So, just speaking from mine, I knew that we were going to Napa. I didn't want to know anything else that we were doing. I trusted my sister wholeheartedly, and she did the
Very
absolute
Nice.
amazing job. So as long as you trust someone, I think it's fine. But we definitely have those clients that are like emailing me on the side, like, hey, just want to make sure this girl's not trying to send me to a strip club because they will think it's funny. So we definitely have had that.
Yeah, it depends on who's in charge, right? Because if you have that friend that's just like, "I got it. I'm the planner in the group." You're like, "Yeah, knock yourself out. You're good at this." And then the other one, you're like, "Nah, I don't think we should not put you
Yeah.
at the helm."
Yeah.
Which brings us to your point about, the brides wanting to be involved and because they don't want to end up somewhere where they're not comfortable or, they maybe understand the dynamics of the people invited better than, their, maid of honor or sister or something like that. So, your Instagram, I wanted to make this point, and now it makes sense because you talked about your photography background is, like, amazing and just aesthetically, like, so incredible just for, like, brides that need ideas. Where do you get some of the ideas for, like, the parties that you plan? I mean, other than personalities of the people involved.
Yeah. I mean, I think just like any other person planning an event, first place I always run is to Pinterest. And I feel like I just try to start putting together some ideas. I usually, my first thing I always do is make a mood board and just kind of look at what the aesthetic
Yep.
is like. What does that look like? And from there, it just kind of transforms into a vision. I mean, we planned a very, very sweet 16th birthday last weekend, and all she said was garden party and sent me a picture of an invitation that she liked. And for me, I just took this idea and kind of ran with it. And, we pulled in those
Yeah.
pastel colors. We did the wildflower look. We had a personalized floral bouquet so the girls could all make their own flowers. And from there, it's just I feel like I kinda take one idea and just run with it, and that's what makes this job so fun because no event and no bachelorette is ever the same. You're never gonna have the same exact client, it's they might be going to the same location, they could even be staying
Right.
in the same house, but it's gonna be a different theme, it's gonna be a different group of girls, it's gonna be a different number of girls with a different budget, and so every single event that we do is so personalized to that one person, and I think that that's what makes all of our jobs so special.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that is so true, right? Like, I mean, not to hate on anyone who has a job that's really redundant, but we are very fortunate in that sense that we get to do something different with every client, and you're, no different in that respect. So, I was gonna ask this also, when people are traveling from different locations and, like, you're pulling people from different walks of life, like, what is your communication tool that you recommend, like, between the group? Is it like a group text? Do you have something that you utilize?
Snap. No.
Snapchat?
Absolutely
Is that
not.
what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm, like,
I
looking at him
would say
like
that
crazy.
that's number 1 do not do. Obviously, the
Yes,
messages go away or so they say, but
exactly.
for me as a business, I always say one point of contact. When too many people are
Okay.
trying to get involved, then it becomes a cluster and it's really hard to
Yeah.
see who is in charge. Who is my person that I go to? This person's saying one thing, but this person signed the contract and I want to make sure that I'm abiding by my contract, upholding my business standards. But what happens when these two girls are saying one thing? So that is it from a business standpoint on my end. I will always have one point of contact and they will communicate with the rest of the group.
Yep.
From there on the bachelorette side, I think that having 2 group messages, one with the bride, one without the bride.
Mhm.
So, you
Oh,
can if there
that's a
are
good tip.
any, if there are any necessary details, like the bride say the bride does know most things going on. And this way you can send out the invite. These are the dates that they're going. This is the airport that you should fly into. The bride and the maid of honor are flying in at this time. If you want to try to get somewhere close to that, this is when we can do it. This is the time that we can check into the Airbnb. This is the place that we can share our outfits or anything like that. If you're doing any gifts or secret activities, keep those in the other group. But I just think trying to keep communication as concise as possible is always really good. Just, from like my business standpoint, when there are so many hands in the pot, it really gets to be confusing. That's where drama gets created. And I feel like that's when things go awry.
Yeah.
You also need to know who that person is, like, "Becky, that's the wrong email, the bride's on that one, ugh." Like, I'll be like, "Becky,
Yeah.
don't reply to all on that."
Yeah, well, now
Yeah.
if
Right.
you have an iPhone, you can pin one message. Just remember which one you pinned and then keep the other one in the regular messages so that you're just going to that one if you know that you need to send it, but just remember which one that is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that is huge because I've talked before on our podcast about how I do a lot of like research in Facebook and Reddit bride groups, right? And there are stories on top of stories of, friendships being ruined and, just the drama that takes place. And a lot of it has to do with communication. And so that was just what you just recommended is brilliant. And beyond that, just having a professional like yourself at the helm, right? And you are not emotionally involved in this event. So that is a huge plus of hiring a company like yours.
I definitely agree. And I mean, I think on one of those points, that's where us handling all the payments really comes into play because, there could be a girl that's like, look, Becky, sorry to all the Beckys out there, really. But Becky, you still owe me
Yeah, right.
$800. You still owe me $800 from the bachelorette. It's now wedding weekend. I'm probably never going to see you again. But now it's created this tension between you and Becky and the maid of honor or, the bride, whoever it is, are now having to get involved. And it just really does create that drama. So for us handling all the payments, we're a business and we say, hey, we can't book anything until you guys pay us. And that is kind of our way
Mhm.
of saying, look, like, if you want the bachelorette to happen, if you want this to go down and you want to have a great weekend, and that's why the bride or the maid of honor or the mom like hired us, then pay your invoice.
Yep.
That's so smart to be able to put that all like, "Oh, well, it's a business, we're not taking the money because 'cause you're right, if somebody say, like, "I had to pay for Becky, now I'm 1,600 bucks out because she never kicked in her 800," that is harsh. I mean, people don't depending on if you have somebody writing checks, like you said, but that is
Yeah.
that'll put
Agree.
strain
And
on a
something
friendship
that
for
we
sure.
do in those payments is actually so say they're going to dinner Friday night. We actually go and look at that menu and we'll say, okay, she's gonna order maybe 2, 3 cocktails. We're gonna get some appetizers for the table, and she's gonna get an entree. Let's just pick middle of the range, tax and tip included. We'll look and see. We'll ask the restaurant, "Hey, what's your automatic gratuity for a group of 10?" And we actually budget on the forefront, and we include that in that price. So they will pay us for that. So they know if they get a salad, they're still paying that $150. It and
Yep.
so for that, we actually get all that money and then we send it to whoever our contact is before the bachelorette. So then they have all that money in their account and they're not having to sit there and be like, all right, you got a salad, you got a steak and 5 glasses of wine, and having to do it that way. Everyone just knows, okay, we paid 150 for this. I know that that really just said, 2, 3 glasses of wine and my entree. I had 5. So if the bill's a little bit more, let me look at that price and I'll give them more. But at least that way they know they have most of the money already. So they're not having to sit there and worry about this $2,500 check that they're about to receive.
I can imagine it would be tough too, though. Let me go to bat for Becky. If she's out, you're 5 years out of college and 3 of the girls have their law degree and are making great money, and then Becky is still waiting tables and dog sitting and trying to make ends, babysitting when she can't. Just, people's lives take different tracks or whatever. It's just not this. Everybody doesn't go the same route. That's got to be hard. Where it's like, I can't afford all this right now. Like, does that come into play on your side, or you just say like, here's the cheap option. You can take the bus, Becky, but
We see it all the time, and I think that that's, on our end, something that's so important is to present my company with a budget and something that you guys have all agreed on
Mhm.
at the beginning of something. Something that we do a lot is, hey, we'll send out a poll and do it anonymously, have them all say this, and then, either pick the average one or say, hey, Becky, like I'll help you out because, this dinner is something that I really want to go to. Or we have had people say, hey, I can't do it, or they come in a day later, or they'll say, "Hey, I'm gonna sit this one
Mhm.
out." Or also just everyone kind of gets together and they're like, "Okay, that budget is a little high. Let's look into something what we can take out."
that's nice because we want Becky to go.
We do want
Of
Becky to
Becky
go.
has
course.
become we've had this whole Becky we've conjured this whole Becky personality here. This is great,
Yeah.
but there's Beckys out there.
Well, and I think you
Budget
touched
Becky. Sorry.
God. I
We're gonna
think you,
create a Becky
you
avatar.
touched
That's great.
you touched on something that's just really important. It's transparency and setting the expectation from the get, right? And having those conversations that are sometimes not super easy to have, but the fact that you mentioned the poll, the anonymous poll, there are ways to get that information and make an educated decision that works for everyone.
And keep the relationships and friendships, you know, like don't throw a grenade in the middle of the friendship group, right? Like that's the ultimate goal is to make sure you don't hit that drama, right? Nobody wants that.
I agree, and I think that something that, the bride could definitely do, say, "Hey, all the girls can afford a pontoon, but the bride wants a yacht. All right, you want a yacht?
Mhm.
Pay for it." Like, there are definitely things
Yeah.
that I think that there are people that can step up. And, we see a lot of the times that the maid of honor or the bride or an older sister or something like that will be like, hey, we want that house with those 2 extra bathrooms just because that will really help all of us not hate each other at the end of this. So let me just put a couple extra $100 down on that house just so that we can feel a little bit more comfortable. Or if, there's something that sometimes like the fiance or the parents will say, "Hey, I really want her to be able to have this experience. We're going to help you out a little bit." But like you said, I think that transparency is super, super important and will always, I think communication is just something that needs to always be at the forefront of trips like this.
You hit a nerve with me right there because I have 4 sisters, and there were mornings where we were in this house where I had 1 bathroom. I was brushing my teeth in the kitchen because I was like, "I never got access to the bathroom."
Jeez.
Mhm.
You're bringing
It's
up
like
some
you that was like a PTSD for my childhood there for a second. Sorry about that. Tangent. There's the tangent for you.
It's okay.
I throw you
well, I think this has been so I mean, in one sense, educational for me, because we plan weddings, it's one lane, right? It's very not the same every time, but just there's things that happen through the process. But I loved learning about not only your perspective on the events, but also just how you make it so easy for people that you work with. So I want everyone out there to know how they can find you.
Well, thanks so much. That's, so sweet to hear. And we just really want to make sure that we can help all of these people that are planning their festivities or their bachelorettes. So they can find us on Instagram and TikTok, Pinterest at Got Your Bash. and also gotyourbash.com. We would love to hear from them. And also, if you are listening out there and find us through the Wedding Duo, we would love to give them 15% off of their services. So just in that referral, make sure to put the Wedding Duo, and we hope to work with you guys in the near future.
Fabulous.
That's exciting,
I wanna
y'all.
go on the Bachelorette no, I'm
No,
never.
you're
I
not
don't get to
allowed.
go.
You're not allowed.
I wouldn't
We
take up
do
time in the
bachelor
bathroom.
parties at well.
I was gonna ask if you do the bachelor party as well, because the guys would be like, "Wait, you have a company helping?" The girls will plan this stuff better than the guys for the most part. They'll be like, they need the help.
The thing with guys is that, let's be honest, they need to know what time their tea time is, what time they're
Yep.
going to dinner, what time are they hitting up the casino, and then maybe they're going to a strip club. So, I mean, let's be honest, it's pretty easy.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a much simpler timeline,
So I don't drink. I hate golfing.
but
Uh,
you're weird.
I know, but I'd rather go see a musical personally, but they'd be like, "That's why you're not invited, Dominic." Like, "Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna."
What's your
Jeez.
favorite musical?
TMI from our
Mine?
Mhm.
You know, we went down the Hamilton road, right? And my wife was like, "It was so good, best ever." But I am Les Mis is deep in my heart, right? Like, it is, like, deep in me, and I saw Phantom, I saw Miss Saigon, I've seen I've loved all the Music Man, all the ones from back in the day, My Fair Lady, I love all that stuff. But Les Mis, man, that's sunk the hook deep.
Mhm.
That's mine right there.
That's my dad's favorite too.
Is it? No, great. I'm
Mhm.
associated with dad. I
Yeah,
was
yeah, well,
trying to
you
steer
put
clear of
it
the
out
dad. No,
there,
it's
it's your
great. It is
fault.
timeless. That show will be around long after all of us are gone. But Hamilton's amazing too. We'd love to see Hamilton. We saw The Lion King on stage in New York for a wedding. We were up there for a
Oh,
wedding. We saw Lion King.
It was fantastic.
I know. I'm going to New York in December, and I wanted to go see Hamilton, but my mom said only one show. So we're going to the Rockettes, which is just
That'd be good.
Oh.
yeah.
That's
I
gonna be
just
fun though
I
too.
feel like that's just like, it's just iconic. You gotta do it.
It absolutely is iconic. Absolutely.
I love it. They should make anything into a musical. I'm all about. I mean, I have Grease memorized. I would still go see Grease if it was showing. But Tina Turner had a show. There's so many shows. You go to New York, like, what? There's a Tina Turner show. I didn't even know. Like, I want to go see that one too, but can't see
Yeah.
them all. I guess
No.
Maybe you can.
maybe we can.
All right. Well, we are going to end our podcast the way we always do.
It is a very personal day. Your bachelorette party as well, apparently, not just your
Mhm.
wedding. But don't let somebody talk you into something you don't want to do or talk you out of something you have your heart set on. It is your day. Do you?
Absolutely. And we appreciate you coming and joining us today, Abby. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys have to check out Got Your Bash.
But we always end with blowing a kiss. We blow a kiss. We want to do it with us? Here we go.
Ready?
On three.
One,
One, two,
two,
three.
three.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye. Thanks. Hey, so thanks for listening to our podcast. If you found any of this information helpful and you know somebody who may be engaged or is a maid of honor, maybe you could tell them and share it with a friend.
Absolutely. So screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag the wedding duo. We promise to share the love back. Also, if you are interested in more resources or the show notes, you can go to theweddingduo.co. We have one-on-one virtual sessions, a shop, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out.